Hi everybody, Charlie Wills with the Charlie Wills team, and this is Andy Kurth, president of Weedman. Today what we're doing is, this is the start of the early spring. I know it doesn't look like spring here today with the cold snap, but early spring, a lot of things on our mind as homeowners is primarily, I know I'm one of them, is my yard. I want to get it ready. I want to start raking out all the old leaves, all the dead growth. But I brought Andy in because he's going to be able to point out some of the areas, things that typically happen in our lawns over the winter, and then how to effectively create a really good plan so that you can start to see that beautiful lush green grass that we all love.
Yeah, and hopefully we can come up with some things that can help all the homeowners out, from raking to reseeding to why maybe parts of the lawn aren't looking like they want them to this time of year. So hopefully we can tackle a lot of different things that are beneficial to everyone.
Well, why don't we take a look at, we're going to go on the front lawn. A lot of us did salt and sand and all those beautiful things to keep from slipping and breaking our backs this winter. So we're gonna go to the front lawn, show you where some of those dead areas came in, what we're gonna do as a plan to make those better. Anyways, we're gonna go to the front lawn and show you what that's about. All right, we're back in the front yard. What we're gonna cover here is, right now we're along the sidewalk, coming along the driveway, and a lot of dead brown grass, and we're gonna let Andy talk about why that happens and then what we're gonna do to solve that.
So as I'm sure everyone knows, anybody that wasn't a snowbird realized that probably one of the most challenging winters that we've had in a long time, both in terms of cold snaps and then ice, and then tons of snow, and then wind, and then cold, and then ice. So there was a lot of salt, a lot of sand put down this year. So this is probably going to be more the norm, unfortunately, for many homeowners, is looking out in areas by sidewalks, by driveways where you put salt, you put sand down in your driveway. Ultimately, if the next time it comes back with another snowstorm, you're shoveling, you're pushing that stuff off onto your yard, which is increasing that salt content. And then even some sand, you can see some debris in there that'll bury the grass as well. So largely, whenever you have salt damage, it's not coming back. Usually that's desiccated the plant and that's dead. So that's going to need to be having some kind of actual reseeding process depending on the scale. Something like this here of this size, what I would be doing, as Charlie mentioned, is a I don't know, a motivator. Yeah, a weasel basically. The thing you just go there with and you scratch it all up. It's just kind of agitate that soil up a little bit, and then go in there with some grass seed. Looks like Charlie's going to go grab one maybe to showcase this. What we're trying to achieve here is reseeding it, but getting seed to soil contact. A lot of people that we find, I know where everybody's busy, but you go and you try to just throw seed on the top of on the soil surface. That's not going to germinate very effectively, because seed of any sort needs what we call seed to soil contact, meaning it needs to be buried a little bit. It needs to have some kind of connection with the soil. If it's sitting on the top, you're going to have water erosion, you're going to have wind erosion. I'm sorry, you're going to get carried away. You're going to have birds eating it, and your germination rate is going to be probably less than 10% that way. All right,
just as Andy was mentioning, here's a garden weasel. Pretty easy tool. I usually like to get the ones that have the detachable heads, because then you can clear it off and make sure that you can still use it. Obviously, I did not do fall maintenance, but
do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, right. But what you want to do is you want to find a nice mix, and the city, places like Jung's, other places, that's where I get my seed. I really like what they carry. It's the mixture, and I try to listen to Andy on what kind of grasses it should have, and it should have a nice little label on the back telling you about the type of fescue or ryegrass or bluegrass or whatever it is, and you try to use those percentages. And Andy was giving me a lot of that detail when we talked last spring. So I got extra packs. This is shade mix because right now it's beautiful, it's open, but in about 2 months it's going to be full foliage, and this is not going to get a whole lot of sun. Plus, this is the north side of the house, so not going to get a lot of sun. What you want to do here for agitation is take a tool like this, your weasel, and you want to pull that grass open. Okay, and you're not working real hard. You do this all day, you're probably going to feel it, but what you're doing is you're just popping it open just enough. And any of these kind of wood chips that are in here, obviously probably coming from my landscaping, you're going to want to pull some of that out of there, but all you're really doing is just opening it up. You're trying to let it breathe, get it open. Take a product like this.
Well, and one extra thing here, Charlie's got a really good base here of soft, moist topsoil. So what he did here is in my mind sufficient. You don't need to add more soil in this case. So he's going to look to add seed. This is plenty. You mix it in, go back in with a rake it together, and you're good to go. If you end up going where it's like rocky and it's really tough, you might need to come in with topsoil, pretty cheap. Just add it on there to mix so you have some way to, again, get that seed to soil contact.
And I like putting a little food, if you want to call it, for seed, is something like a Purple Cow. They're organics. Yep. When you mix that in over the top of your topsoil and your seed mix, it's just giving it food and fuel to be able to grow better. So spreading seed, right? 101. When you're coming in here, just a small handful for a little space like this. It's windy today, so you want to stand. In my case, I'm standing with the wind. Okay, just a little bit of seed, right? Just enough to get it on there. Like Andy said, it's got good. I've got hay in there, so I would take the hay and I would put it right over the top, because I just trying to stop birds, weeds, all that kind of stuff coming in here, and it's just going to give it a little protection as it starts to grow.
You know, if somebody has just a regular old metal rake, just really lightly, don't need to go in and make it, you know, you've already agitated it well, rake it in a little bit, because that'll get that seed into the soil, even if it's a quarter of an inch, half an inch, and it'll drastically increase your germination rates. I mean, it'll probably double or triple your germination rates.
Another thing to mention too, and this is where I feel like I'm turning into my grandfather, have a rain gauge, right? Really understand how much rain you're getting in your particular yard, and then whether you need to actually water. Some people come in here and they'll just drown the seeds,
flood
and
it right out.
You're flooding them out and ruining all this work that you probably did to put this together. So a rain gauge, what should we look at per week?
On a general scale, it's an inch a week. That said, in the springtime or in the fall, you can imagine we don't have the evaporation rates, we don't have the heat indexes. So, I mean, right now your soil, we haven't watered. I mean, we haven't really any measurable rain. It's rained a little bit, but not any major measurable rain lately. And yet, because of how much moisture we've previously had, we got plenty of moisture in the soil. So I don't even know. I mean, maybe you just get it a little damp, but I don't know that I would even do much. Check on it in a few days. Just keep it a little damp. That's it. It's going to stay wet because our nights are so cold still that you're not going to have to water a whole lot if you do any kind of planting in the next couple of weeks. If it gets to 70, 75 degrees, then you're going to need to start ramping that up.
And you're talking consistently.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All really good tips. I hope you enjoyed it. What we're going to continue to do with these series is talk about not only lawns, we're going to talk about house maintenance, interior and exterior. We're going to do a year-long project talking about those items. So stay tuned with us. Hopefully, if you want to spread this, either be able to post it on Facebook, because we'll have it on YouTube, we'll post it on Facebook. We also have an email distribution list. If you'd like to get on it, please email us at CS, that's Charlie, Sarah, at charliewills.team. That's customer service at charliewills.team, and we'll get you on that email list. All right, have a great day. Hopefully the tips are helpful, and we look forward to producing more great content.